Call to order the meeting of the Pittsboro Board of Commissioners for this evening. And for our custom, we'll start with a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you. Commissioner Farrell, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everyone rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, we have the agenda before us. Is there any changes to the agenda or the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrell. Second. Votes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I will take a motion to approve the 6 items on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as indicated.
Pro Tem Baldwin,
Second.
Commissioner Farrell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Just a note for those of you that have been here before, there's a couple order changes in the agenda, so doing things slightly differently, but moving forward. So after the consent agenda, we have an information only item of the audit presentation. So Heather.
So one of our auditors, Jacob, is here to do the presentation regarding the audit. Our audit has been submitted. We have not received approval yet from LGC, so we are awaiting approval. That is why you do not have copies of the audit yet. Once we get those, we will send it out and we will post it on the website. Do you have the presentation, Colby? Okay.
All right, well, thank you everybody for having me. My name is Jacob Allen. I'm the Senior Audit Manager at Sharp Patel. I've been a part of your audit for probably 7 or 8 years now at this point. You guys are probably used to seeing Jay Sharp up here. That's why his name's up here. He unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, so I'm kind of stepping in his stead, but I appreciate you all having me and good to put a face to some of your names. I've read your board minutes and all that kind of stuff, so it's good to actually finally meet you guys, and thank you again for having me and chance to speak in front of you. I'm going to go ahead and go to the first slide there. All right, as Heather noted, the status of the audit fieldwork has been completed. Financial statements have been prepared. We've sent over drafts and they're actually awaiting approval by the LGC. I don't know what's going on over there this year. They seem to be taking a little longer than usual to approve the audits, but one of our other towns, they get approved on Friday. So hopefully sometime this week it should be approved and we'll get you over final copies once that's been done. All right, we can go ahead over to the next slide. All right, so before we get into the actual numbers and the results, we'd like to give a summary of exactly what we do. Jay's probably, if some of you have been here for multiple years, Jay's probably given you an idea of what we do during the audit, the things that we look for, the things we look at. I'll run through it briefly. And if you guys have any questions about the audit process, feel free to stop me and ask me any questions. With every audit that we do, we have to obtain an understanding of our client. That's kind of our first job, is to get an understanding of the client. That involves multiple things, like what industry you're in, how you make money, who does what documents are involved, who approves what. all kinds of things like that. Probably the most important part of that is understanding internal controls, right? So internal controls involve a lot of areas. You have people that, are opening the mail, they're entering in invoices into the accounting system. You have people that are reviewing that information. The better system of internal controls that you have will allow us to do a little bit less work on the substantive side of the audit. That when we actually get into deep diving into the numbers, so the better your internal controls are, the less work we actually have to do on that end. So I think Heather gave me a little bit of a heads up that you guys would like me to talk about internal controls a little bit more. Internal controls is a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? I mean, there's some companies, some industries, some entities that have better systems than others. A lot of it has to do with the makeup of your accounting department. If it's a smaller accounting department, you only have one person doing everything, you're not going to have a very good system of internal controls, right? You're going to have one person doing everything. Nobody's really reviewing anything. In your guys' case, there's, you have a few people making up the accounting department, had their reviews. You guys do a great job, obviously, of meeting monthly and reviewing financial reports and going over things. So as part of our audit process, we review those controls and we test them to make sure they're actually working. Now, those tests involve a few things. We can go over them if you have questions. But once we go through those tests, that leads us to determine how risky certain areas of the audit may be. If your controls are really good over a certain area, we can deem that area to be a little bit less risky. So we don't have to spend as much time there. So that's kind of the structure we take. That's how we get into our audit procedure. That's how we design our audit procedures. Now, once we've gotten that risk assessment done, we can start to develop some procedures to test your balance sheet, your income statement, to get our evidence to the place we want to be so we can render an opinion on your financial statements. All right, so the goal of an audit is to obtain sufficient audit evidence. It's kind of, we want to get to a point where we can get sufficient appropriate audit evidence that your financial statements are free from material misstatement. Now, there's a lot of verbiage in there that's a little, I guess technical, but we're looking at whether your financial statements are free from material misstatement. If we were to look at every single transaction, it costs you guys a lot of money. It'd take us a lot of time. So we determine a materiality threshold that gives us a number to look at to kind of base some of our procedures off of. Do we have any questions about the audit process before I move on? Okay, you can move on to the next slide. All right, so the results of the audit, we're going to start talking about the numbers now, the opinion that we gave. You guys obviously got an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get on an audit. We did have some kind of adjustments to the audit, but they're all, they're routine adjustments. They're ones we have every year. There was nothing out of the ordinary. And working with Heather closely, there's some stuff that she actually gave to us ahead of time, said, hey, this isn't quite right. You guys need to adjust this. So it's a good process there with Heather, a good team environment. You can go on to the next one. All right, as far as required, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So PBC
prepared by client. Sorry.
Okay.
So that just means that Heather gave us the entry. She noticed that she gave us a trial balance to work off of. Noticed something wasn't correct. She'll let us know that this number's not correct. You need to make this journal entry to make sure that that the statements are correct.
Thank you.
All right. So at the end of the audit, we're required to communicate certain things to you guys. One of those things, if there were any major accounting policy changes during the year. This year, there weren't any. I would like to note that there was a fairly large policy change regarding leases last year, but you guys don't really have any leases. But if you ever get to the point where you're thinking about leasing maybe police cars or, I don't know, other government vehicles or stuff like that, that's something that, we'll have a conversation about. I just wanted to mention that you don't have any right now, but that's something to be aware of if you ever do get to that point. We are also required to communicate with you any estimates that are involved with the audit. Depreciation expense every year is always an estimate. That's based off, whatever estimated useful life we determine for your assets and whatever method we use to depreciate those. We didn't have any disagreements with management and we had no difficulties. I always enjoy working with Heather. She's always one of my favorite clients to work with. She's always very receptive to our ideas, our questions. She's extremely helpful as so is the rest of the accounting team that you guys have. So I have nothing but positive things to say about Heather and the team. All right. So getting to the actual numbers, we have a few graphs here to kind of summarize the numbers historically. This shows the last, I guess, 10 years, it would be 9 or 10 years. As you can see, there's a nice increase. The red graph or the red bar shows the revenues. The blue bar shows the expenditures. Obviously, you're having a nice increase due to population increase, due to, tax rates going up, the whole Chatham Park development. I mean, everything is, it's exactly where we would expect it to be, and it looks very healthy. Go ahead and move on. This graph here is another way just to kind of visually represent your fund balance from year to year, going from 2014 all the way up until now. There's obviously a nice steady growth there. There's nothing wrong with anything I'm seeing thus far, and I don't think there will be. You guys are one of the healthier towns that we work with, so everything looks great. Move right along. This graph here kind of shows the breakdown of fund balance between restricted and unrestricted or unassigned. Well, something to note here, we like to see the unassigned fund balance number somewhere around 8% of your expenditures. You guys are at 89%, which is phenomenal. So that's just something I wanted to point out. You want to move along here. This here is another helpful metric we use. We use this with a lot of nonprofits as well, also with towns. This is your cash reserve ratio. This is kind of a quick ratio we do, which is basically shows the amount of cash that you have to meet your current liabilities. Now, we like to see 3 to 6 months. So that's, 9 to 90 to 180 days. You guys are sitting at 366 days at the end of the year. So your cash balances are extremely healthy. Move on. This one here is showing your property tax revenues from year to year. Just another helpful chart to kind of visualize how things are growing in Pittsburgh, which is great to see. Move right along. Here goes along with the last one, showing the property tax rates that are pretty much in correlation with that last chart that you saw. All right, here, this is another helpful pie chart. This breaks down expenditures for the year by department. Obviously, you guys know probably that your main expenditures are your public safety department, followed by the general government and transportation. The next slide is going to show 2022 for a comparative measure. I don't know why they're different colors, but they are. But they're remaining very consistent from year to year. You can go ahead and go to the next one as well, if you don't mind. All right, the last few slides is kind of talks about the water and sewer fund. Again, red represents revenues, blue represents expenditures. You're seeing a nice healthy growth from year to year, which we obviously love to see. I know there's been some extra funding in the past few years with the ARP funding. The federal government's put a lot of money into local governments, which is great the past several years. So that's why you're seeing a larger jump. Come on again. Again, this is a cash reserve ratio. Same thing as with the general fund. This just kind of shows the amount of cash you have in the water and sewer fund to meet your current obligations. So this would tell you have 593 days left to operate. If you were to receive no more revenue whatsoever, the town could still operate for 593 days based on current expenditures. So that's, again, a great ratio. The quick ratio, this is just another quick one to show, this is your current assets to current liabilities. So this would be things like cash and accounts receivable compared to your accounts payable balances. Your ratio is at 30-1, which is, we like to see about 3-1 in any given ratio. 30-1 is 10 times what you'd like to see. So again, nothing but positive things to say about where you guys are financially. And I believe this is the last one. This is showing the fund balance breakdown for the water and sewer fund. A big chunk of that is related to your capital assets, your infrastructure, all the pump stations, the water, the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. And you got a little chunk there related to restricted revenue. That's just money that kind of has been set aside for project funds. But again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but yeah, it's very healthy. Again, I apologize. Got Jay's name up there. I'll be happy to take any questions. My name is Jacob Allen again. Even if you don't, you have my email. I'll be happy to. Heather's got my personal contact information. More than welcome. I'm happy to talk to any of you. Any questions I can answer for you guys?
I don't have any questions. I just make a comment.
Sure.
Heather and her staff on great job.
Absolutely.
I really like seeing these cash reserves. I noticed in 19 and 20, we were still at 265 days. That was during COVID and all that. That's strong down. Thank you.
Yeah, I have nothing but positive things to say. You guys got a good one.
Definitely. Okay, thank you.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, next in the ceremonials section, we have a proclamation and celebrating the life and honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Whereas Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy to society is the leadership provided by to justice, equality, and the elimination of racism, nonviolent social change. And whereas Dr. King epitomized the belief that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, endowed with reason and conscience to act towards one another in a spirit of harmony. And whereas the observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day offers an opportunity for individuals and communities to reflect on our shared history and to engage in actions that uphold the principles he championed. Now, therefore, I, Kyle Shipp, Mayor of the town of Pittsburgh, North Carolina, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 15, 2024, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service in the town of Pittsburgh, and urge all citizens to engage in acts of service, promote peace, and commit to ongoing action for good. And that's adopted this 8th day of January 2024. Okay, up next is Citizen Matters, and we'll start with the Assistant Manager update this evening from Kevin.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. First, we want to start by wishing all of Pittsburgh very happy and prosperous 2024. Looking forward to the opportunities this year will bring. Do have a number of updates. First, on the public safety front, you received earlier today an update bulletin from Colby. Received subsequent updates. We are expecting severe weather threats, significant potential for severe weather, primarily wind related tomorrow. So staff is certainly on top of monitoring and pre-positioning and preparing for that event, whatever might come. Then I've had some quick updates on a number of higher profile projects in town on the parks and recreation. A number of projects we've really made great progress in recent weeks. The tennis and basketball renovation at Clanahan Park. Construction contracts are being executed. The work will start March. And that includes work to add a skate park area on the site. So excited about that. The new parks maintenance office, of course, the lease agreement that was approved, that facility is occupied and staff is actively moving in to that new space. So thanks for your support on that one. The development of the park property on Monitor Pittsburgh Road, we have drafted an RFQ for planning and design, and that will be issued in February. Katie and I are meeting later this week to put the finishing touches on that RFQ and publish that. Utility related, you are all aware there are a number of public utility projects, non-municipal public utility projects in town that have created some disruption to service, some disruption to traffic. Those are Duke Energy has a significant project in town. Bright Sea has a project in town, and Dominion Energy has a project in town. So staff are working to try to corral those projects, have a little bit tighter impact on. We can't regulate those entities, but I think we can have a little tighter working relationship with those projects as they are progressing. We have received some updates So the Duke project is described as a grid improvement and resiliency project. It is anticipated to continue through May of this year. We received today a 2-week look ahead that I'll provide to Colby for public consumption. So we do have a commitment now from Duke to receive these 2-week look aheads, which should improve the information that we're receiving and our ability to respond to concerns. Similarly with Brightspeed and Dominion, we have sent communications today to escalate response from those two utilities. We have not received the best information as far as timeliness to be able to respond to public concerns. And we want to improve that as those projects are completing over the next few weeks. On our public, municipal public utilities, I spoke today with Vic Zar with the city of Sanford regarding some of those priority projects. The water plant expansion project for the city of Sanford, they have encountered some some unanticipated regulatory requirements that has extended that project. It was originally to be bid in December. They are currently in a new environmental clearinghouse review that will conclude in January or February, which would allow for the construction bids for that project. So that is leading toward a spring bid for that project. Similarly, the force main project that, of course, is directly impactful for us. They did in November select a construction manager at risk contractor, and that contractor is now preparing a bid that will be presented to the city of Sanford in January. On our local front, we have a inflow and infiltration project that we received grant funds of $4.5 million in 2022. So that project the documents have been prepared. We did advertise for bid. We had a bid opening scheduled on November 30th that we chose to postpone because we were getting unfavorable responses from contractors as far as their availability to pursue the work. So we decided to pick that back up in the new year and set a new bid date. So that will be forthcoming later in January. Lead and copper, that is a compliance, that is an EPA compliance requirement. We received notice of the EPA releasing the rules in December. And in February, staff is participating in a webinar to fully understand the requirements. I mean, we know that inventory is one of the baseline requirements, but that webinar will inform staff on the additional requirements based on a lot of this is driven by your customer count, so and population. So we will be doing that in February. We are coordinating with City of Sanford on that. We're not able to have a joint contract with the City of Sanford because it might impact the grant funds that we actually both entities received. But we are coordinating and hope to perhaps use the same consultants for that work.
Is that the $5,000?
Yes.
Grant, okay.
And then lastly, the UVAOP phase 2 of PFAS improvements at our Haw River plant. I discussed that with Vic today. He is leaning heavily to say move forward with those funds. There had been some earlier discussions to attempt to use those funds in a different way, but we are now coming around to a decision that it may be more advantageous to use the funds for their intended purpose at our plant. So that is $18 million in grants that we will likely be moving forward with in February.
18, question for you. The $18 million is towards hardware.
Yes, processing equipment systems at the water plant to do two things. To increase the capacity of the PFAS treatment vessels to the full capacity of the plant. And to add the UV AOP for mitigation of 1,4-dioxide.
So Kent, I think it was 4 years ago or maybe longer that I first asked the question, maybe the last time I asked this question. And perhaps I'm hoping technology may have advanced since then. Is there any such thing as real-time monitoring for 1,4-dioxane? And if you don't have the answer, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm just thinking.
I'm not aware. I certainly don't know of any discussion of any, but certainly something I'll take back to our water plant staff. Sure, they would be aware.
My concern is, and for the public who are listening in, UV AOP is ultraviolet advanced oxidation. So what that technology basically does is it blasts our water with energy. And if there's no pollutants of concern in the stream at that time, I don't think that's a very effective use of energy. But we are in a quandary where we don't know necessarily when the 1,4-dioxane is in our water, in our river. And we won the grant based on the concept of treating our water full time. Is that right?
Yes.
So I guess I just wanted to raise the conversation again, because it seems to me that $18 million to spend on a guaranteed higher power bill for a long time for a very small contaminant that only appears intermittently. You know, I question that. And I am my family have autoimmune conditions. We have been historically exceedingly careful about our water supply. We may have been among the first families in town that got a reverse osmosis filter installed at our sink because we were so concerned about this. But at this moment in time, I am all the more concerned about that expenditure, even given the fact that it's already a received grant. It's an approved grant. I acknowledge that. I want to be mindful of the public funds, and I can't help but wonder whether or not if I had a magic wand, I'd say, let's spend that $18 million on having a real-time method of detection, which I don't believe is a currently available technology. But that's just my opinion. I'd be eager to hear other people's thoughts.
I think
If that system going in line, don't cost one way or the other. Electricity or power will be increased. We don't have the reverse osmosis in it. I think the public wants to see clean water, not worried about the higher price of electricity.
And I think, Kent, those are a lot of the discussions you're having with Vic and our partners down in Sanford, right? The discussion about this.
Yeah, and we did have last year, we did have considerable discussion with the city of Sanford as well as with Division of Water Infrastructure about prospects of changing the scope and those were not fruitful, but at least with drinking water. So my concern, if I had waders on and I stepped in a big old mud pile right in the middle of the Haw River, what would I kick up? It's one thing to study slugs coming downstream, detect that, but this is a forever chemical. And it stays in the water, it's happy in the water. If it's in dry land, it disintegrates, it decomposes, it breaks down. But in the water, it stays there. My biggest concern would be for the residents of the town. Right now, we're struggling, in my opinion, with the positive image of the Haw River water, positive or negative image. And that's something we need to consider. And the other thing I would consider is maybe having a cost benefit analysis at just how much energy is being used per month before we make a decision. I appreciate that.
People are still very concerned about the water. And even though they have been advised and on the website and in our meetings that have done quite a bit to make sure that the water through the gas system is clean, I think we still need to go forward with the Windforth dioxide clean. Even if it is sort of costly, just to ensure that the public can see that we are moving forward to another step to make sure that the water is clean. But I do understand your concern, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Mayor, not to detract from the discussion, it's good. There will be opportunities for the board. There's decisions related to this project, not related to the funding, but as the project advances, there will be decision. So certainly not the last opportunity to discuss.
Commissioner Bonitz, is your concern the power bill or the wasted, your perception as wasted energy?
I think Commissioner Foley hit it on the nose that in a cost benefit analysis, the entire thing, it's the capital investment plus the fact that we are tying ourselves to a long-term higher operational cost. As I understand it, over the past 3 years, we've had 9 incidents that we're aware of. Granted, there may be some uncertainty. It's possible that Greensboro had releases that they weren't unaware of or they didn't notify us of. But 3 events a year of a trace contaminant that, yes, it accumulates and it's effectively permanent in our bodies when we absorb it. I hate to say it, but if you stand behind a diesel engine, you're getting another trace contaminant that is permanent. It goes into your lungs. It doesn't leave your body. So yeah, I'm privileged in my day job to do cost benefit analyses. And it's just kind of on an instinctive level that I'm thinking $18 million for a capital investment that is definitely going to give us much higher power bills at that water treatment plant. Granted, we're merging with Sanford, but it all goes to our customer base. And that is for a contaminant that we hope through diplomacy, through our work with the upstream municipalities, that we're going to eliminate this at the source. And I think that that's a far more cost-effective way to address the problem, is just not allow people to put it in the river in the first place. I'm speaking, we're speaking very broadly. We're having a friendly conversation about this. This is kind of what we would desire in the ideal world, right?
In the spirit of that friendly conversation, when we talked to Sanford, we pushed them really, really hard to have the UVA, what's the rest of the acronym? OP. So for us to take a pass on it seems not great.
I don't remember that. Commissioner Vose, I do remember pushing very hard for GAC filtration and to leave open the opportunity for UVAOP, but I don't think we've ever asked them to install it. Did we?
I think let's, I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole from this update, Ken. That I appreciate. So
Letting us know. You're good. Time is fine.
let's,
So
consider these points for a future.
Yeah. Thank you again for letting us interrupt.
absolutely. So that's, so one last, so the Hearn Road water upgrade, we're meeting late this week to review those documents. We have bid it in the past and we're gonna bid it again in February, March timeframe. That's my update. So thank you.
That's great to hear about Hearn Road as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Let's see, so Commissioner and Committee Liaison reports now. I'll start with AHAC, although we're actually making that transition, but our last meeting was a social at the Redmond's Brewing Company this last week, so that was a nice opportunity. And Leah Dyson is leaving or has left now, actually, Chatham County. So appreciate her service, but as going back closer to home to work up in Maryland. So yeah, we'll appreciate what she has done and we'll miss her there. EDC, we had a meeting December 13th. Our next meeting actually got moved to the January 24th instead of the typical time frame. So I'll attend that. And then we also have a board retreat on January 30th that I will attend. And I did attend the Central Pines Regional Planning Organization meeting on December 14th, which is formerly known as TARPO. And my first meeting there, so lots to pick up and learn there, but lots of projects happening in Pittsburgh specifically. So it's good. Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin?
I have a question
Yes.
about the EDC,
Yes.
and it's not directly about the EDC. But a lot of people are concerned because Dollar General, not Dollar General, Dollar Tree, a $1.25 tree
All
is
right.
gone. So they want to know, is another one coming back?
Okay.
So if you could check with the economic development to
Yes.
see what happened and if another one's coming.
Okay.
Because a lot of people do use the $1.25 tree.
Yes, definitely.
I do too.
Right, exactly.
So I would be concerned about that.
Okay, I'll check. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I really don't have that much to say in reference to the Central Pines Regional Council. However, there is a grant which is used formerly Triangle J Council of Governments. There is a grant opening on January 19th, 2024 of the new, well, it's actually a renovated building. And everyone, of course, is invited. And there will be a panel discussion of with the former chairs of the Triangle J Council of Governments, which is now Central Pines Regional Council, and I will be part of that panel discussion. So they're having most of the old chairs to participate in that. Again, it's 12 noon on January 19th, 2024. And that is in the office is on Page Road, which is off of 40. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Bonitz?
Yeah, I don't have any updates from the County Climate Change Advisory Committee. They did present to the Board of Commissioners, County Board of Commissioners. I have not had time to digest that and share that with you.
Okay,
I'll do so.
thank you. Commissioner Farrell?
PBA, they didn't meet in December, and they are meeting on the second Monday of the month, and the second Wednesday of the month, and we meet on the second Monday, so, there will be a month delay between their meetings, so I will be at the meeting Wednesday and discuss if they want to move to another day.
Okay, thank you.
If I'm still, involved with the PBA.
Sure. So let me explain that a little bit. So some of these, the ones that we have on here are the I won't say this incorrectly, but the town priority assignments, and then obviously all of us do other things through the town as well. You know, fairgrounds, Boys and Girls Club, PBA, these other activities. So certainly welcome to report on those as well. They're just not official assignments. So,
Good, thank you.
yeah. Commissioner Foley?
I see that my assignment is a hack.
Yes.
You stole my thunder.
Well, I won't do that in the future.
Thank you. In jest. The only thing I would add with a hack is that Assistant County Manager Brian Thompson will carry the load while Leah is gone. We did have a yearly meeting, a year-end meeting, a hack did, and there was a lot of positive excitement for the direction that the county is heading with affordable housing. So I'll keep you all advised of that. One note, just one concern, one request, perhaps. The Triangle J, which is now Central Pines, is offering a chat GPT AI for town government. And that's something to share with. I think it's $120. But that's the way for the future. So
Is that virtual training?
fine, I'll find out. It's on their website.
Okay, thank you.
So just generally any training that's available, you can request through Jonathan, and we have a budget for that. So you're welcome. Encouraged to do things like that.
Let you know.
Commissioner Vose?
Lots coming up, but nobody's met since our last meeting, so I've got nothing to report.
Okay. Any other additional comments or concerns from commissioners?
Mayor, one thing
Managers?
I failed to remind that, so the town hall, non-police staff town hall will be moving to Main Street Station this Thursday and Friday. The town hall will be closed to the public on those days, as well as Main Street Station office. And we'll reopen on Tuesday. The reason it's Tuesday is Monday is a holiday.
Could you review quickly the utility billing changes as well? Just the location will now be Main Street Station, correct? To pay utility bills?
I mean, for Heather.
Sorry.
Yes, so utility bills can be paid at 287 East Street in Suite 221A. That will be where we will have our customer service specialist accepting payments. Again, they will be online payments. Customers can set up draft payments either online or through the office. We will still have the drop box available at 635 East Street, and we will be checking that twice a day. We just encourage customers to only put checks in there. We really don't want to receive cash that way. So.
Can you describe for the residents where 287 East Street is?
Yeah, so it's right next to the Walgreens. And when you park and you sort of you look at the two buildings, you go up the stairs, you're going to be, well, when you get to the top of the stairs, we're to the left. And there's also an elevator for anybody that is unable to get up the stairs.
Main Street Station is there.
Yeah,
New water tower front for a lamp.
yeah, hopefully.
And then the drop box is still located at town hall.
At the what will be the police station, and we will be checking it twice a day, and so that will still be an option. Like if people are not able to or unable to get out of the vehicles, or they don't want to, or for whatever reason, and they don't need a receipt, then you can drop it in the drop box.
Okay, great.
So you're welcome.
I do have one other concern, and that is the speeding on 15501. They are at one time, the chief put that sign there, 35 miles per hour flashes. They're speeding again since the sign is gone. And it's really sort of dangerous. So you would kindly be able to do that again. I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, for public comment, we have one individual signed. Oh,
Yeah, yes, if I may, just a couple of things. I wanted to thank Kent Jackson and staff for your quick and sympathetic responses to concerned Brightspeed customers. I don't know if others are hearing from Brightspeed customers, but people who have landline telephones in town basically been without service for, I think, almost 3 weeks now. And the Brightspeed customer service has just been, by all accounts, lacking, and including people getting hung up on. That's a really critical service for certain members of our community. And I just wanted to really appreciate, Kent, your efforts on recognize what you say, that we don't regulate them. And all the more so, I appreciate your efforts to try and help push them in the right direction.
We'll continue to help as we can with it.
Yeah. And I also wanted to thank citizen Alan Wilson for proposing some changes to our code of ordinance for animal control and protection. That's in our inboxes. And I think it'd be good for all of us to attend to that and maybe see what we'd like to do about it. So those are the top concerns for me. Thank you.
thank you. For public comment, the one signed up is Alan Wilson.
There we go.
So there was the segue.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to hear me. Basically, I did provide those suggested changes to deal with health and safety issues, primarily with dogs in our area. As you know, Chatham Park is high density, which means high density people, also high density pets. So what we'd like to see really falls into three major buckets. And that is number one, require physical restraints. I can't speak to the efficacy of electronic leashes, but there are a lot of folks concerned that they don't work, or that people can pass off that they have them and they really don't. So we'd like to see that. Number two, we would like to make sure that we do have humane treatment of the animals, which is why I suggested a couple of changes to the fact that I don't think we want to make the implication that it's okay to restrain animals within a parked car. And then number three, deal with the health issue as far as animal waste. So what we're really asking is not really that different than what we have as a requirement at our town parks. You look at the town parks, it is posted, keep dogs on leashes at all times and clean up after your pet. So all we're really asking is that you take those requirements that are posted at the town parks and apply those to the rest of the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have an annexation, public hearing for an annexation. I'll ask for a motion to enter into the public hearing.
Make a motion to move into public hearing.
Commissioner Farrell.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good evening. In your packet, there is a copy of the petition, which includes the map of the location. Also placed in front of you on your desk, I want to point out there's a copy of an ordinance amending the zoning map. This is from 2021. And I wanted to turn your attention to about the fourth page in, you see Exhibit B, terms and conditions. This is not going to be on the screen, but the map certainly can. I was going to say, if you go down to the terms and conditions, you go to number 5, go to 5C. Parcels shall be annexed into Pittsburgh prior to site plan approval or tying into public utilities, whichever comes first. This particular petitioner who did have a conditional zoning approved in 2021 now has a site plan approved and is ready to get started on construction. This particular parcel in front of you actually shows up in our GIS system as 67905. I believe that's also in the packet. There you go. Well, there you are. 67905. And so this is actually 204 feet from the town limits. And this particular piece, as a condition of their conditional rezoning, was supposed to come before you all and ask for non-contiguous annexation into the town limits. Almost at satellite. And obviously staff is supportive of this particular. We've been through the process in which the petition was entered with the clerk. The clerk investigated sufficiency, and we are now at the final step.
Okay, thank you.
Questions for me?
Any questions from the board? We don't have any public signed up to speak in this public hearing. So I'll take a motion to exit the public hearing.
So moved.
Second, Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin and Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor?
Included in your packet is a copy of the ordinance that would make this.
All right, we'll accept a motion to approve the ordinance to extend the corporate limits by annexation request of Friendship Road LLC 45 White's Way.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Farrell and Commissioner Bonitz. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have action items. You'll note that we no longer have old business and new business, just have action. So we're gonna get to action. First is the appointment for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We have one opening for that and one applicant for that. Is there any questions? Okay. I'll accept a motion to appoint Brian Finnegan as Parks and Recreation Advisory Board ETJ member with a term ending June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Commissioner Bonitz,
Seconded.
Commissioner Vose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Up next is.
Is Brian here? No, okay, just curious.
Up next is the planning board appointments. We have one opening for in-town planning board, one opening for ETJ. And we had a significant number of applicants, including the two incumbents for this item. Let's start with in-town appointment.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Alfreda Austin for the planning board as the in-town member.
Okay, second by Commissioner Vose. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now consider the ETJ application.
To make a motion to appoint Linda Batley.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Baldwin, any discussion?
Yeah, discussion. Charity Mize has been serving in that position. And I'd spoken with Linda Batley as we both had, this was shared our
I'm sorry.
concern, and interest in her interest in public service. When I explained to Ms. Batley that Charity Mize, as the incumbent member, did wish to continue serving, she said, that's fine. I don't want to take anybody's place. So I wonder if you would.
I'll withdraw that, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to withdraw.
Given that, thank you. If your motion is withdrawn, then I will move for Charity Mize to be appointed to an ETJ seat, to continue her service.
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Vose. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, up next is an amendment to the Code of Ordinances. And this is related to utility billing policies.
Hello. So we are recommending, that in Code of Ordinance 50.03, that we want to remove current item. I think it's D, is that what current item, section E of that section, which states any duplex or multi-unit building being served by 1 meter shall have a minimum monthly charge equal to the total number of units multiplied by the minimum rate for a single residence. What that means is that we have been, for apartment complexes, or anything that is serviced, that 1 meter is servicing multiple units, we have been charging our base rate times the number of units in that location. So if there are 40 apartments and our base rate is, well, I think it's like $23 right now, it's 40 times 23 and then usage on top of that. So sort of in line with our strategic plan and wanting to be a community that is open for affordable housing and those options, that we want to remove that language from our Code of Ordinance. And then the second item on the agenda after this one is amending the actual fee schedule to remove the language in there related to that charge. So that then the way that it would go is that essentially those apartment complexes and any place that has multiple units where they have 1 meter, we would just be charging them the 1 base rate and then usage on top of that. So does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say thank you. This is a really important topic that's come up in regard to affordable housing and other, in multiple ways. And so appreciate work and appreciate our partners in Sanford working with us on this to make this policy.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. And just a clarifying question that this will be proactive moving forward only, not retro.
Correct. It would go into effect for the February billing statements.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have discussed this with Sanford.
And so they currently they don't charge them a fee for their multifamily unit. And so if a meter is servicing multifamily unit, they do not charge a fee per unit. So this is in line with their policy, making this change.
I understand, a little confused on the minimum rate. So this is you gotta, just say 10 units building. It's gonna be 10 times the minimum rate, no matter what water they use.
No, that's what we're gonna remove. So we currently are charging them the minimum rate, for, which is $23 per, the base rate. So we're currently charging them $23 times, say 10 as their base rate and then usage on top of that. This would remove that and we would just charge them 1 fee of $23. Because when you have apartment complexes that have like 150 units on 1 meter, that's a large bill because we charge this not only on the water side, but also on the sewer side.
Right.
Seems to me though that still ain't got the calculation right that we're shorting ourselves water.
We're not sure, it's not related to the water usage. So it will decrease the revenues, but not, again, right now, we don't have a lot of apartment complexes in Pittsburgh. So we can absorb that in our current budget, and then going forwards, we would budget accordingly for that.
So each unit would still be charged for what they use.
Yeah.
They're not charging, or depending on how the apartment.
Each unit will, after the monthly water bill, the flow bill and all.
Yeah, so because it's only one meter, we're charging whatever usage is going through that meter
Okay.
is getting charged regardless, but we're only charging that, going forwards, we would only be charging that flat rate once instead of per unit.
So these apartments would have no water bill, correct, other than the landlord?
Right, so currently for the places that have a meter that services multi-units, typically it is in the name of the apartment complex. It's not in the individual's names. And then that owner of the property is responsible for metering the individual units and assessing a bill based on that.
Guess that's a little more clear because of, yeah, I guess I was concerned you had one meter. If you had somebody that didn't pay the bill,
Right.
so that would be up to the responsibility of the landlord.
Right, so our customer is the landlord. The landlord then, they have certain laws that they have to adhere to regarding billing, the individual apartment owners or renters,
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions?
And the sewer, that's not charged by the volume.
We charge our sewer based on the water usage.
Okay.
So it's, because we meter the water and then you get billed based on that usage. Yeah.
And there is a monthly fee minimum for sewer that this also removes. So there's one for water and for sewer.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve the amended 50.03 section of the Town of Pittsburgh Code of Ordinance.
So moved.
We'll say,
Speaking as an AHAC.
Sure.
Okay.
And second,
Second.
Commissioner Foley,
I said.
in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approved unanimously, and up next, utility rate change for this.
Yep, so this goes in line with that. So we now have to amend our budget ordinance fee schedule to reflect the change. So what you see in your packet is the revised section. And you may think it doesn't look like anything is different. Well, all I did was remove one sentence that said that we charged a mass meter, sort of like by per unit the base rate by per unit. So I've just removed that sentence so that then effective with the February bill, we would no longer charge that.
Rate changes, I said.
Right. Yeah,
Just a note.
just essentially removing a sentence. Yeah, so no other changes to the rates or anything like that.
Over the per unit charge.
Yeah.
So big picture, your opinion, if I am a developer and I want to build an affordable housing unit or any apartment building, this is going to be more appealing. Correct.
Yeah, it's yes, under what is currently in place, it is definitely more expensive to have a apartment complex in Pittsburgh because of this rate structure.
In the end, Rob, was that the prior policy was regressive, meaning that it puts a higher tax burden on those who are less able to pay it. It's not tax burden, but fee. So Commissioner Farrell, I appreciate your concerns, but I'm very much more comfortable with these changes in terms of our impact on our neighbors and friends and relatives who have lower incomes.
I'll accept a motion to approve the amendment to the fiscal year 23-24 budget ordinance.
So moved.
Bonitz,
I'll second.
Commissioner Foley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Pass unanimously. Thank you, Heather. Okay, now the Board of Commissioners wishes to hold a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3 to consult with our town attorney and 143-318-11A6 to discuss personnel. So I will accept a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Commissioner Vose,
Second.
Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
health, defense of life. Heck of a debate.
Back in open session. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Second. Vose, second, Commissioner Farrell. All those in favor?
Hi,
Aye. Thank you. Have a good night.
thank you.